Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Christine and I like to read dark and disturbing things. Today we are going to be doing a book unhaul. Truth time. I really intended to film a book haul today, but I have a package that is coming. Actually, I have a couple packages still on their way to me, so my haul isn't all the way here yet. So I thought, why don't I move up my unhaul and film that instead? I did do an unhaul about 3 months ago, and I kind of want to check in every quarter, so every 3 months, and check in and see what books I've read from my Read What You Own challenge and no longer feel the need to keep on my shelves, and just kind of reevaluate what I have on there and what I feel like keeping or not keeping. If you've been following my channel, you may know that I like to use Pango Books, which is an online way to sell and buy used books. It is within the US only, but they're hoping to make it to other countries soon. And I have been using Pango Books for about the last year and have really enjoyed it because to me, it feels like I'm trading in my old books for new ones that I want. And I don't really have a local used bookstore here that I love that doesn't really have like a big horror section, and they don't really offer as much for my books as they are worth on Pango. And I feel like it's going to another loving home instead of just sitting in a store. I'm actually now a Pango Books ambassador, which basically means that I have a code that you can use to save a little money if you are new to Pango Books. If you use the code CRITZREAD, you can get $5 off a $20 purchase. And just so you know, that doesn't have to be at my personal shop. You could be shopping anywhere from anyone on Pango Books and use that code if it's your first time. For full transparency, anytime someone uses my code, I do get a very small amount back into my account so I can use it to buy more books and talk about them. That said, most of these books will be listed on my Pango. There's some here that I don't think are really worth listing, that are probably more fit for a free little library. So I will put those in a separate stack, and hopefully I can do a day where I kind of drive around and check out other free little libraries other than, I usually just frequent the one that's by my house, which I really do enjoy. But maybe I'll make a round trip and see what's out there in the neighborhoods. So first of all, I do want to put in a clip here where you see that I kind of go through my shelves. I realized that I had a stack going of books that I have read and wanted to unhaul. But then I realized that there are a lot of books that no longer represent me as a reader on my shelves. A lot of books that were fantasy and YA fantasy. It's not that I don't like any fantasy, but I do like more adult fantasy, a little bit darker. I am really into reading more books where characters are closer to my age than being in their teens or early 20s. I just don't really connect with that as much as I used to. And yeah, I'm ready to read some big girl books now. So I did go through some of those, and let's just see what I found. Okay, here is the situation. I do have a stack of books already in the other room that I wanted to unhaul. But then I've been wanting to do every 3 months where I do an unhaul, and a lot of it was hopefully supposed to be books that I've read and maybe didn't care for, but books that I've actually read. I do have that to show you, but then I decided to go through all my shelves and pull out anything that I was unsure of. And when I first discovered booktube, a lot of stuff I found were from book boxes, whether it be Fairy Loot, Illumicrate, and other books that aren't even book boxes, that are not even companies anymore. And so I ended up with a lot of fantasy books and other random books that I have just never read. And I'm not saying that I wasn't ever interested in them at the time. I was, and I just never got to them. And then I think I kind of moved on as a reader, and I found a lot more horror out there that I was into. Now, a lot of these were pretty edges that I took out of here, which was kind of hard for me to do because I do think they're really cool looking. But I think part of the reason is that I don't think about them when they're facing this way either. So I did pull some out, and what I'm going to do is kind of put 3 piles. A pile that I know I want to keep, a pile that I'm going to get rid of, and then maybe a pile where I give myself 6 months or a year to work on and see if I reach for them. Like I might have to dedicate a shelf. You can't see, but up there, a lot of the books came from up there. And maybe I can dedicate a shelf where I try to pull from there at least once a month or something like that. I don't know. And just kind of see if I end up reaching for it. So what I'm going to do, I've got some work to do. I'm going to read about these, look them up on Goodreads, kind of see what people say about them, see if it's something I think I'll be missing out on if I get rid of, and see if it's worth keeping. So I will check back when I have done all of that. Okay, it is the next day. I have gone through the stacks of books and I'm definitely seeing a theme here. I can't remember if I talked about it yesterday, but when I first started really reading like heavily again, and I discovered booktube, I also discovered Bookmark subscriptions, and a lot of these are fantasy and YA fantasy at that. And I think I've just grown out of that phase. So these are actually the ones that I think I'm keeping for now, which seems insane. I do have a stack of ones that I'm going to unhaul that I will show you. This was the stack of ones that I thought I would be into the most based off of well, this is a sequel, so I knew I liked the first one. I'm not even sure why I put that in there. But I have that stack I will show you. These were the ones that when I looked up had the best ratings and had things that I thought I would really be into. And then these ones are all kind of like in my danger pile. So that means that I'm not sure that I'm going to love them, but certain ones just rated really high and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm missing out. And then on top of it, it was really hard for me to get rid of a book if it was beautiful. Like case in point, like I don't think this was rated super great. I don't know that I'm going to be into it, but I really like the way it looks, so I want to give it a shot, which I know sounds stupid. But yeah, I'm going to kind of put these on a shelf where I will be quick to DNF if I'm not into them. But I feel like I need to give them a chance. And maybe in 3 months when I do another unhaul, they'll just end up there. I don't know. The other thing I notice is that if I have my books facing like this, I am less likely to read them because I don't even see the title. So I do need to I turned a lot of those around so I could see them. If you see anything that stands out to you as something you really liked or really don't think I will like, then let me know. And I just need to make a better effort to either give them a shot or let them go, I think. So yeah, time to get real. Okay, so you see that I have a lot of books to still work through, and I was still a little bit unwilling to let go, but I do have a stack here from all those books that I am going to get rid of. But first, I think I want to talk about books that I've already read and have decided to unhaul, and then we'll get to that stack at the end because I won't know as much about those. The first book I am going to unhaul is Patricia Wants to Cuddle by Samantha Allen. This is a book about a television show somewhat like The Bachelor, where people go on there and they go on dates, and you know how it goes. Totally not my scene, but this is a horror book. I don't know if you could see the blood splatters in this hair here, and I knew that there was going to be a cryptid like creature within this book. I ended up listening to this, and to me it was just okay. It's like a 3-star read. I just found that it focused way too much on the first half of this television show, which I could just tell you, I do not care about Bachelor type shows. I find it's just not my scene. So it was a little too much of that and not enough of the horror for me. So I'm gonna let this one go. I don't feel the need to reread it, and somebody else can enjoy it. Next is actually a manga called Orange. And quite a few years ago when I started just kind of dipping my toe into manga. Like I still have hardly really read any. I saw that a lot of people recommended this as something to start with, and I tried to get into it and I really just couldn't. Again, it is about like high school age children, and I couldn't tell you what else is about this, what else it's about. It looks like they're in 11th grade. Maybe I didn't give it enough of a chance, but I've had it sitting around for a couple years and just never feel compelled to pick it up. So we'll let someone else have a chance. This one I read for the week of weird last year, I think. This is The Haunted Vagina by Carlton Mellick III. He has all kinds of crazy, oh, you know what? My hair is almost like hers. I just need some horns. Yeah, it's about a girl who has like a world in her vagina and just the wonders, and it is very short. Yeah, so we have a brave explorer that checks it out, and it's definitely, it's a trip. I mean, I had a good time with it. I kind of thought about keeping it just for, I don't know, I'm probably never going to read it again. I mean, how many times do you need to visit a haunted vagina? The next one is a book called Lucky Girl, How I Became a Horror Writer, a Krampus Story by M. Rickert. I had gotten this one in I think a Nightworms package a couple years ago, and I did read this, and it's a very short one. It's a nice little holiday read. I will say it's not very Krampus heavy. The fact that they put Krampus in the title is a little bit misleading, but I still had an okay time with it. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. I just don't think I'm going to read it again. Same with this one, Waif by Samantha Kolesnik. This was a pretty gritty read, if I remember correctly. It's been a few years. I just don't think I'm going to read it again. And yeah, check out trigger warnings for this one because I'm pretty sure it was kind of heavy. Can you tell I went through my little novellas? Next one is Dear Laura. This one had quite a, it was making the rounds on booktube, bookstagram, whatever. And I had an okay time with this. It seems like people either really like this or don't. It's been a few years since I read it, but I think it's about a group of friends and one of them goes missing. And then the person who is the survivor starts getting letters from this person who supposedly kidnapped her friend and kind of terrorizes her there. You know what? I never realized for a long time what was supposed to be. This is supposed to be a tooth, by the way. I did not know that was supposed to be a tooth. I don't know what I thought it was. Not a tooth. Okay, this one is one that I just read and just reviewed. This is Stephen King, Cell. This is a zombie book where people are turning into zombies from using their cell phones and technology. And it was not his best work. It was not the best zombie book I've read. It was like a 3-star. So to me, 3 stars are like, I'm not going to remember it. It wasn't horrible, but I'm never going to read this again. So this one will probably, I got this used. It's probably going to make its way into a free little library. The next one is another book that I recently read, and that is Gideon the Ninth. I really, really wanted to like this book more than I did. I just didn't see it going anywhere. It had like some really great ideas. I just didn't like the way they were executed, I guess. So I know people love this book. I really wanted to as well, but it just wasn't, I wasn't into it enough to continue. And so for that reason, I'm also getting rid of, I have the second book in the series, which I bought used on Pango, I think both of these. This one I had a little accident with a spilled drink, so this one's gonna go in a free little library. I mean, you could still read it, but the pages are a little damaged. That stinks. I'm usually more careful than that. And then, I mean, she looks cool as hell, but I just wish I could have gotten into this. I just couldn't. Another one that I could not really get into that I bought a special edition of, I think I got this from the UK, Skandar and the Unicorn Thief. Yeah, this one's signed by the author. It's got these red sprayed edges and it's really cool. This is a middle grade book, but for some reason I thought I would be really into it. I thought it was going to give me like kind of Percy Jackson vibes, but with a kick-ass black Pegasus. It's not really a unicorn, is it? It's got wings. So, yeah, this has something to do with kind of this magical school where you have control over unicorns. But they have powers. I don't remember. I really tried to get into this. I partially read it. I partially listened to it, and then I just gave up. I think I was hoping my son would be into it too, but he wasn't. Next is a book I read this year, and I kind of contemplated going forward with the series. This is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. I thought this one had, again, some really cool ideas behind it with bone magic. But just a whole lot of nothing was going on in this book. The characters were fairly flat, and I just think that there's got to be better fantasy for me to read instead of continuing a series that I just kind of felt lukewarm about. Another one I read a couple years ago is Daughter of Sparta. I don't really remember a whole lot about it, but I do remember liking it fairly well, probably like a 3.5 star. I don't know, has a kick-ass warrior woman, Greek mythology, my kind of thing, but I'm never going to read it again. And then the last two are books that I literally just posted reviews on today. This one is a brand new book called Someone You Can Build a Nest In, and I love this cover, love the main character, the idea of like an amorphous lump that ends up in a relationship with someone who is hunting them. But it fell flat for me, and yeah, I gotta say goodbye to it. Last but not least, oh, my bookmark's still in there. Let me take that out, because yeah, I would miss this bookmark from Abominable Book Club. That's it. Okay. That is Empire the Vampire by this author. Had a lot to say about it. None of it was good, and we're just gonna leave it at that. I feel bad wasting this amount of trees worth of paper, so hopefully somebody else is into it. It really is a beautiful book in that it's got amazing graphics in it. It's got amazing artistry in here, but not in the words, just in the pictures. Okay, on to my stack of that big stack you saw that I have whittled down a little bit. I'm sure a lot more of those are going to end up in this pile, but for now, these are the ones I'm willing to let go of. Basically, what I did was I looked them up, read the synopsis, and saw how people were rating them or what people had to say about them. If there were some key phrases that I thought I would be into, I want to give those books a shot, and if in maybe 6 months I haven't, then it'll be time to say goodbye. Most of these I got through book boxes, bookbox subscriptions, which you know I like because I like that it exposes you to new things, but sometimes those things just are not for me. The first one is Duncan M. Hamilton Dragon Slayer. This looks cool. I love this color. And it's not very long for a fantasy book, but this is a book 1 in a series. I don't think it got rated super great. It sounded a little bit generic to me. And I have Shadow of the Gods series that I'm kind of into. I don't know. I have other fantasy that I think I will read before I ever read this. So if I'm being realistic, I'm going to let this guy go. This is another one I got through a book box. Owl Crate. It is signed, and I think it's got extra features on it, but this is Together We Burn, something to do with flamenco dancing, and I don't know, YA fantasy. It does have a very cool reversible dust jacket and some foiling on the cover. A flamenco dancer who must become a dragon hunter to save her family legacy. I just don't think I can stomach YA. It's weird that I can read middle grade, but YA for me is a no. This one looks really cool, but when I was reading about it, I think it had really low ratings. If I remember correctly, this is The Darkening. Again, looks very cool. A lot of these just end up being kind of like monarchy type, like class climbing or trying to get a certain title, a fierce revolutionary, a desperate prince. Together they will face the storm or be swept away. It's just all so over the top and it's just not my thing. I think this is another one that got really like just trashed in the ratings, which is too bad because it is a cool cover and I do really like the sprayed edges. It says We All Fall Down, but yeah, just trashed in the reviews. I think actually got rated fairly well. I just think that I'm probably not ever going to read this. And this is The City of Dusk. And again, this is a first in a series. I had gotten this in a book box, and if you've read this and you think that I'm making a horrible mistake, let me know. It's just my luck with these big, like uber fantasy books don't seem to go very well. This one has amazing cover, amazing sprayed edges. It's always harder to say goodbye when they're like that. But this is like a space opera, YA type fantasy book, and yeah, didn't get rated well, and it didn't really sound like a book I would be into anyway. I don't even know how I ended up with this book. I feel like I had to add something for free shipping, maybe. Maybe I got it from a free little library. I have no idea why I have this book. I do like the tropical bright cover, but this is a contemporary romance. This is an author that is fairly well known, but this one again got completely trashed. That is Chloe Gong's Immortal Longings. I don't know if she's actually a vampire in this or not. I couldn't quite tell. Possibly. It says Immortal. Inspired by Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra is a fiery collision of power play, spilled blood, and romance amidst a set of deadly games. Not my thing. And last but not least, this is another one I don't know anything about. Because why would I? Why would I know something about a book that I own? Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. Got the special cover on here. Have a few with the word realm in it that I get confused, so let me know if there's anything in the stack. So that is everything I'm unhauling. Let me count how many I have here. If I know how to count, I've got 23 books here that I'm unhauling, and really it probably should be more than that. I don't feel guilty about unhauling books that I have read or tried to read and just wasn't into it. I do feel a little bit more guilty about the ones that I've never even picked up and tried to read, but it is what it is. Reading tastes change, people change, and some of those I don't think I ever would have been into even when I was kind of into those genres. So again, most of these will end up on my Pango. If you've never checked it out and you have a similar problem like I do with book buying, then I always find that when I buy books on there, it is guilt-free because I feel like I am just spending the money that I traded my books in for, and then I feel like it's like just trading with friends, trading a book for something I prefer to have. And it's super easy to just search for a certain book and see what people have to offer. All right, I'm done talking about that. Coming up soon, you'll see a book haul and I will feel like a total hypocrite. If there's any of these books that you have read and you think I am making a horrible mistake, let me know and I will consider giving it a shot. All right, time to stop making videos and go read some of these books I own. Thank you guys so much for watching and stay spooky.